Hello, my name is Matthew Sear, and I am creating a short walkthrough video on how to use my reservation system app that I wrote using Sinatra and Ruby for my Flatiron school project. So, the aim of the project was to create a content management system that allows a user to sign up to create an account or log in, and then to create, read, update, and or delete something that they create. In this case, I chose reservations because I had a job previously where we had a system internally that we used to reserve vehicles because there were 10 vehicles and various employees wanted to use vehicles different days, different times, and it made it easier to see what everybody was doing and kind of access that sort of stuff on the go instead of having to have like some sort of physical display somewhere. And the system worked fine, but there were some usability issues and just features that I thought could be added or improved upon. And the system that I've created right here is not better than the one that we were using previously, but it allowed me to see what kind of goes into creating an application like that, and also how I might be able to continue building and working on that in the future. So I'm excited that I've gotten this far. So I'm going to show you how it works. The main address, just the home, redirects to the login because there's nothing else to display really unless the user is logged in or creates an account. I'm going to create an account first, just using a bunch of junk data, hopefully that I haven't used before. I'll make sure that I put numbers afterward just to ensure that I haven't done that before. And I guess now that I'm messing up typing these anyway, I might as well type in some things to demonstrate that it won't allow the user to sign up with mismatched information in their email addresses. I actually implemented custom error messages for the pages, which are rendered in the layout.erb file from which every other view file inherits. And I have them implemented for most of the common sort of errors that a user might encounter, like trying to access a page that they can't view whenever they're not logged in, or that, like, if they try to look at a reservation that doesn't belong to them and belongs to another user, or whenever they're trying to create an account, if their passwords or emails don't match, or if a username or email address is already taken. So that stuff all works pretty well. And as soon as the account's created, it logs the user in. Admittedly, this doesn't look the best because I have some wonky things going on where some things are links and some things are buttons. And I should probably do something to hide the delete all reservations button whenever the user doesn't have any reservations, but I put that there basically for testing purposes because after a while I had so many reservations in there, it was too tedious to delete them individually, so I added an extra route to the controller that allows the user to just delete all the reservations. Probably not the wisest thing to have in production, or at least not with a some sort of prompt that confirms the user wants to do that, but it does work, so I'll demonstrate that after I create a few reservations. So it pre-populates the name and contact information for the user who's creating the reservation, and that's saved with the reservation and so that it can be viewed by another user in case they need to know who has the vehicle that day or how to contact them if they need to switch a vehicle or something like that. All of which would eventually hopefully be handled within the app itself, but for now that's how it works. So we're just going to try to create a new reservation for June 30th, and since today is July 1st, it doesn't work. It doesn't actually allow you to create or edit a reservation for a date prior to the current day, which is pretty great, I think, because then there's no like faking things or going back and kind of creating any confusion with whenever a vehicle is reserved, like, you know, somebody accidentally reserved it in the past, for example. So I think that's handy. So we'll reserve it for tomorrow. We'll select the Buick Century, and then it shows up here. And then under each reservation there's a gap and then the link for editing or deleting, so we'll create another one to demonstrate that. The navigation bar down here allows you to just return quickly to My Reservations, so that was the individual reservation page. If we click on that, it'll go back there. So that's an individual one, and the edit or delete link actually goes directly to the edit form or the modify form, and then we can change the data from what it is currently to update it, and then we can also delete it, which we won't do yet. So let's create a new reservation for the next day, the 3rd. Use a different vehicle. And again, this is the individual reservation page, and if we go back to My Reservations, we'll see that there are indeed those 2 reservations there. Now we'll try to edit our first one to change it to the same date and the same vehicle, and we'll see what happens. So the 3rd and the Buick Verano are what we're trying to update this one to. And if we go to try to do that, we're hit with an error that says selected resource already reserved on the chosen day. Please try again. So it doesn't allow duplicate bookings even whenever you're updating. And if we would go and try to create a new one, so we'll just try to create, what was it, the 3rd and the Verano. It's already reserved, and ideally I guess it would tell you that you already have it reserved if it were really advanced, but I haven't gotten to that point yet, so at least it doesn't make the duplicate reservation. And then we'll try to log out here, and that should clear everything. So then while we're logged out, if we would go to users/example1, we shouldn't be able to view anything while we're in there because we have to be logged in to view it. So let's try to log in with our account, but use the wrong password. So the email or password did not match records. So that's good. It's not allowing us to log in without correct information. So let's do another person with another email address and see if we can access some of the stuff that I just made. So we have no reservations, but if we go to all reservations, we'll see all of them. This must have been from a previous example, which is good. It's one that we didn't just create. So let's try to go to that and see if we can access it. And it'll tell us you do not have access to this page, and it'll take us back to our reservations. If we try to, let's go to, go back to all reservations here. So let's try to register the Buick Verano for the 3rd of July. Again, it shuts us out because we're not allowed to create a duplicate reservation. So if we then tried to go to another user's page while we were logged in as example 2, it would redirect us back to example 2's reservations page and tell us that you cannot view another user's account. So that protection works well there. So yeah, I think that demonstrates pretty much everything that the app can do at this point in time, except for the delete all button. So we'll log back into example 1 just to show how that works. And I guess we can actually successfully edit or delete a single reservation as well before we do that. So we can change this to July 4th, Kia Forte, update the reservation, and if we go back to my reservations, it doesn't complete a duplicate one, or it doesn't make a duplicate one or an additional one or anything like that. It just updates the existing one. And something else too that I tried to implement is that the reservations are displayed in date order, so that way if a user goes in and looks at the reservation list, they're not seeing all these ones in the order that they were created, but rather the way that the schedule actually plays out, so that's kind of handy. And then we can go back in and just delete this reservation. And if we delete all reservations, we shouldn't even have to go to that page, it'll just delete all of them. They're all successfully cleared. Yeah, so I think everything works out pretty well with this application, all the routes and all the different account features. So